That's me, Franny.
Hi. Welcome back to FrannyTings. We're officially on episode 10. That's crazy. 10 weeks of being motherfucking consistent. Give it up for Franny. Period. So today's episode, I'm not even gonna explain it too much. The title is Robber, but it was an iguana. So put two and two together, bitch. That's literally everything you need to know. It's gonna be a fun little story time. I feel like all my topics have been more or less kind of serious, so we're gonna have some fun with this one and get into a little motherfucking story time. So let's get into it. Bitch, it is not. Okay, let's get into it. So, if you guys have been listening to my podcast, you guys know that I went through a phase that I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I was kind of lost in college. I didn't really know what I wanted to study. So, during this time, I like to call it my pothead phase. I feel like everyone has to have one. Mine lasted like around a year and a half, and my pothead phase consisted of me smoking every single day. I feel like I had a lot of anxiety, and smoking like really did help at that time. I would smoke probably before I go to sleep mostly, and then throughout the day, if I had like little moments, I would smoke. And then when I would hang out with my friends, we would smoke like heavy. Like we would have like 3 blunts in rotation, just going at it. And I was like a little roachy killer. Ew. Like, who was I? Not saying that like I don't smoke now. I do smoke occasionally, but I see it like a cup of wine at the end of the day, or maybe like, a little dessert. That's how I see smoking now. But yeah, I had this phase that I was like a little stoner. So getting into that, one day I was home alone, and it was my day off of work, and I really didn't have like much. So I would just watch movies on my days off or whatever it is. And so I was like, oh my God, no one's home. I'm going to smoke like half of this J and then watch a movie. So I go outside, I smoke my little J, I come back inside, and I'm like a little stoned, and I was like, I want to watch something like deep. So I put on Interstellar, and I'm like, this is gonna be a great motherfucking time. And the thing about like being home alone, which I loved, is that I got access to the TV downstairs. So I've never had a TV in my room. Just a fun fact. I know that's very sad. But like for some reason, I was embedded in my head that if you have a TV in your room, you're not going to be productive. And I low-key kind of believe it still. I haven't had a TV at all in my life, and I feel like I get a lot of shit done. When I watch movies, I usually watch them on my laptop. Maybe that's why I don't really watch too many movies, which is ironic because I'm a film major, but whatever. So I got access to the TV downstairs, and I was like, fire. So I'm watching Interstellar, and all of a sudden I hear what seems to be like a hose, like a gardening hose, hitting the front of my door. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And mind you, I'm high. So like everything is just way more dramatic, way more enhanced. And like, I muted the TV, and I hear it again, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? And then I was just like, you know what? It's fine. Like, I'm not even going to check. It's probably me being paranoid. I'm just going to keep watching the movie, right? So I keep watching the movie, and I hear it again, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what is that? So at this moment, I low-key start freaking out because I start remembering that there's been a lot of break-ins in the area. People were breaking into cars, houses, like by my neighborhood. And I was like, oh fuck, like what if they're trying to break into my house? Like what the fuck do I do, So I start panicking because I'm just like, okay, do I go and check what's at the front door, or do I just like ignore it and just like keep watching this movie and like dying watching Interstellar, which is like kind of a good death, but still, So whatever, I'm there, I keep watching the movie, I try to ignore it. I hear it again, and then I'm just like, okay, like I'm scared. I start freaking out, but I become paralyzed. Like I'm those type of people that when I'm scared, I don't react. Like I just literally like because like I don't know what to do. Like I can't breathe, I can't move. I just become super paralyzed. So I try to calm myself down by telling myself like it's probably the gardening people outside, like from my next door neighbors. They always have people gardening for them. So I'm like, it's probably them. But just to make sure, I called my dad and I was like, "Oh, dad, are you home?" And he's like, "No, why?" And I'm like, "Because I keep hearing this noise. It sounds like something's like hitting the door." And he's like, "Oh, it's probably the gardeners next door." So he had like the same thought as me. And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, it might be that." And I called my dad because I figured like he's always working outside and sometimes he'll literally water down the front doors. So I thought it was him, but when it wasn't him, I was like, damn, kind of freaking out still. Still didn't go out to check if what it was. I literally stayed on the couch. I was glued to the couch. I was so scared. My palms were sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit. I sweated already. Mom spaghetti. He's nervous. So my hands were really sweaty and my feet were sweaty as fuck too. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, what do I do? So whatever, I keep watching the movie, trying to distract myself with like excuses of what it could be, you know. And then I hear it again and I'm like, oh my God, like what do I do? I start freaking out. I'm like, fuck. So at this point, instead of trying to again get up and see what it was, I start thinking of the worst scenarios that could happen. So just like a little layout of my house, I have the couch, the living room area like right here, and then like a little behind the couch is two sliding doors to the backyard. So I was like, okay, if someone's trying to break into my house to the front, someone, if it's like two people, the second person can jump over the fence and try to get to the sliding door to get to me. So if I go run and check the front door, what if they see me? What if that back person sees me running to the front door to see what it is? And then they're going to try to stop me. And like, this is everything I was thinking. Mind you, still paralyzed on the couch. Like, so whatever, I start thinking of all these fucking different scenarios that could happen. And I was like, okay, well, if I wanted to escape, if there was two people, I would have to like run out the back, go dive in my lake, because I have a lake outside of my fucking backyard, go in my lake, swim to the fucking street and run away. Like, these are all the things I was thinking. Instead of fucking getting up and actually checking, I was just assuming the worst thing. Wow, that's so fucking toxic, but whatever. So then I start thinking of all these scenarios and then I start freaking myself the fuck out. I start like panicking. I start having major anxiety. So I call my mom at work and I'm like, Mom, I think someone's trying to break in the house. And she's like, ¿Qué? And my mom is like a typical Cuban mother with like hella fucking anxiety. So anything triggers her. Like, she's the type of moms that like when she says bye to you, instead of being like, bye, love you, have a great day, she's like, bye, maneja suave porque tú sabes. Like, I'm like, oh my God, chill the fuck out. So she's those type of moms. If you know, you fucking know. Very Hispanic, very Cuban, and just very protective. And I know she does it with love, but still, like, she freaks out. So I'm telling her, like, oh my God, like, girl, there's someone trying to break into the house. She's like, oh my God, stay right there. Stay right there. Call 911. Call 911. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I started freaking out. I'm like, I guess I'm going to call 911 because I'm fucking scared. Still, I haven't gotten up to fucking check what it is. Like, just assuming the worst. So I call 911 and I'm like, yeah, it just sounds like someone's like breaking into my house. And they're like, oh, like, what do you hear? And I start telling them like a water hose against the door. They're like, have you checked? I'm like, no, I'm scared, I'm paralyzed, bitch, I cannot move. And then they're like, okay, well, stay where you are, I'm gonna talk with you as the cops arrive. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. So as she's talking to me, I literally get a text from an unknown number, a random number that says, stay where you are. Bitch, what the fuck? Tell me that's not scary as fuck. Like, I'm already freaking the fuck out and I get a text message from a random number that says, stay where you are. Bro, the first thing that came to my head was like, oh my God, I'm being stalked. Someone followed me. Like, all those years, which I still to still do till this day, of changing with the windows open, the blinds open, not giving a fuck what people think about me, has caught up because someone has been watching me and they fucking found me and I'm freaking the fuck out. That's literally what was going through my head with that random number texting me. So I get the message and I immediately tell the lady on the phone, the dispatcher, I'm like, oh my God, like someone's following me. And I start like crying because I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So she's like, what happened? Like, what message did you get? It said, stay where you are. Like, this is what I told her. And she's like, oh, like breathe, like, you know, she's trying to talk me through it. And then maybe like 5 minutes later, that same number texts me and they're like, it's Anna from your mom's job. And I'm like, bitch, that could have been nice if you would have started off with that, because I'm over here freaking the fuck out like, oh my God, I have a stalker seeing my titties for all my life, like, and they finally want a piece of it, like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like, that's literally every single thing I was thinking about. So then when she sent that, I felt a little better. Then I hear a knock at the door and she's like, don't worry, that's the police. And I'm like, okay, cute. So I'm like shaking walking to the fucking door to open the door. So I open the door, like I peek my head out because I'm like fucking paranoid. And it's like a lady cop and she's like, hi, like we got a call that like, you know, you heard someone breaking in. So I explained to her, you know, what I heard, that it was like, it sounded like a hose hitting the fucking door. And she's like, yeah, but did you hear this noise? And it was like the noise of like a knob turning. And honestly, I didn't, but I felt really guilty for even making a cop come and doing all this, you know, craziness. So I said yes because I wanted to back myself up and not look fucking crazy and not be wasting like people's times, you know. So I'm like, yes, I heard that, even though I fucking didn't. So she was like, okay, well, there's other cops here. It was like 3 cop cars that pulled up, and I'm like, oh my God, like all this ruckus for me. So 3 cop cars pull up, and then it's her talking to me the whole time, and then the other cops are like circling around my house trying to see what's going on. So I'm like on the, I guess like the front steps at my door, and the next door neighbors are like looking over, and then they're like, ¿Qué pasó, Francesca? And I was like, oh, no sé, like I thought I heard someone breaking in. And she's like, it might have been the iguanas. They're everywhere recently. And I'm like, bitch, it's not a fucking iguana. Like, why the fuck, like, you know, what was I hearing? So... And I just thought she was fucking crazy when she said that. So then the lady's talking to me, and then she gets the heads up, like the green light, that everything was okay. So she's like, oh, we're going to give you like this little record card. So then that way, you know, you can have it with you. But, you know, it's better that you called because I know there has been a lot of like crime around this area. So they kind of knew that like, you know, there's been a lot of break-ins. So I'm like, okay, at least like they know that. So whatever. She's about to leave, and when she's about to leave, I look over to my right hand side and everyone's looking up at the tree right next to my house, the palm tree, and they're looking up, and then I'm just like, okay, like what are they looking at? So I look up at what they're looking at, and it's a fucking iguana. It's a fucking iguana in my fucking palm tree. So this is my conclusion of what really happened. Okay, this is like my thoughts. I honestly think that there was an iguana in the front of my door trying to climb onto the rail right next to the tree to get up to the tree. And what I was hearing was the iguana struggling and its tail hitting my door to get to the fucking palm tree. So by the time the cops got there, his mission was complete. Not only was his mission complete, but he made a bitch scared. So I don't know if that was his mission, to either climb on the tree or for me to call the fucking cops because I thought someone was trying to steal my house. But it worked. I don't know what his goal was, but it fucking worked. I'm ready to fight that fucking iguana bitch. So that's basically my story on how I thought I was about to get kidnapped by my stalker, which I don't know if I have one, which I don't think I do, which is really scary. So I hope I don't have one. But like, that was my story on how I really thought that someone was trying to break into my house, and it was a fucking iguana. A fucking iguana. Wow. I really, to this day, I cannot believe that. I cannot believe I called the cops on that shit. Wow. Wow. And I was crying. I was so scared. I was really, really scared. I was like, yo, it's my time, baby. Bro, and then you're going to tell me, stay right there. Stay right there. And then not inform me that you're my mom's coworker while I'm fucking dying of anxiety. You got me fucked up. Fucked up. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my fucking disastrous story time of how I thought an iguana was trying to steal my fucking house. I'm still pissed about it, but still a good time. It's still mad funny. So if you like this and you want to hear more story times, definitely let me know because I have a lot. I actually have an embarrassing caca story on my YouTube channel. You can go ahead and check that out. So go ahead and make sure to check me out on all platforms, FrannyTings. And yeah, like, subscribe, interact with this so I can get boosted on Instagram because you know the algorithm sucks. So make sure to help me out. Anyways, I love you and have an amazing day.